Today I want to talk to you about what is adrenal fatigue. Probably the most common question that I get when I work with people that are exhausted, they're burnt out, they don't have energy, they don't focus, they don't concentrate, they crash in the middle of the day, they have very little reserves to be able to exercise without crashing, they're having difficulty losing weight and gaining weight, and they're just not handling stress. A lot of people will say they're in that sympathetic fight or flight, or they're wired and tired, standing up, getting lightheaded, shaky, jittery, not controlling your blood sugar. It's a whole thing going on. And then you go to see your doctor and you tell them, hey, I'm stressed out, I'm exhausted, I think I may have adrenal fatigue. And they look at you like you're crazy because they tell you there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen, and I help people, thousands of people all over the world, recover their energy and a meaningful life. The way I do that is I explain to them what exactly is going on. So if you think about it, your brain, it processes stressors on a daily basis. It processes psychosocial stress, so relationships, children, finances, work, employers, employees, family, neighbors, government, epidemics. It handles all of that, but it also handles environmental toxins. Your body has to deal with pathogens like infections and molds and chemicals and toxins and heavy metals, even 5G and all the pesticides and sprays that are going out in the world. That has to be processed by your body, by your stress response. And the stress response is a primordial, millennial thing that we've had over the millions of years that we've been around. And that's basically for survival, to be able to deal with that sympathetic survival, fight or fight type of thing, or rest and digest. And so when we're constantly at alert based on all of these stressors, not just psychosocial, but also because of the things we just mentioned, inflammation, toxins, chemicals, so forth, all of that impacts your body. And that causes a supply and demand problem. Your body is not able to produce energy and deal with the stress response at the level that it needs to. However, what happens is when you go to the doctor, they throw the bathwater with the baby all in one shot. And what I mean by that is they'll say, well, okay, if you want us to check you for an adrenal fatigue problem, what we're going to do is we're going to do a ACTH stimulation test. And that test is basically they're going to give you a pituitary hormone called ACTH, and then basically that's going to be released. That's going to cause the adrenal glands to make its hormones, of which glucocorticoids or cortisol is one of the main hormones that the adrenals produce. The doctor will then look at the response of your adrenals to make cortisol, and if the body makes cortisol in response to that ACTH stimulation test, then you're told that there is no such thing as adrenal fatigue. And the reality is it doesn't happen very often where the test is low. It just isn't low very, very often. And when it is low, that's called adrenal insufficiency. I've done another video on adrenal insufficiency and talked about the difference between that and adrenal fatigue. But suffice it to say, what happens is when your adrenals produce enough cortisol so that the test isn't negative, you are told you don't have adrenal fatigue. In fact, there isn't a lot of times where that happens. There's no research or PubMed articles that show that that's a legitimate phenomena. However, I wrote down 5 things that can still be going on even though your adrenal stim test wasn't negative and your cortisol was being released. However, you were still told there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue. The first thing I would say is GI health. GI health is so important. If you have microbial overgrowth, decreased secretions like HCl and digestive enzymes, and even things like lipases and bile and so forth and so on, you're not going to assimilate your foods. You're not going to break it down. They're going to ferment. They're going to rot. They're going to put a lot of pressure on your liver. You're not going to be able to extract the nutrients. And if you're not doing any of that, it's creating a lot of inflammation and stress to the brain and to the adrenals, but it's also creating lack of minerals and nutrients to be able to make optimal amounts of hormone. Even if you're not negative, you still don't have a good quality of hormone. And the other thing is the GI health is important for converting toxins into waste products, or converting hormones that aren't active into active hormones. And all of that is being missed on an ACTH stimulation test. Detox. If you're not able to break down, clear out, eliminate, remove, and get rid of toxins or hormones that have been partially metabolized, meaning they're kind of out of the body but not really, they can recirculate, bind to receptors, take the place of other receptors, and now even though your adrenal fatigue test is normal, you don't have available receptors for those other normal, ready to go, just released, just signaled hormones from the adrenal glands to be able to be used effectively. That's another thing. Neurology. So we don't just have a stress response from something that happens today. We can have a stress response from something that happened yesterday. So if we've had psychosocial stressors, post-traumatic stressors, very stressful lives, major events in our lives, we have a lot of visual cues or just sensory stimulation that can cause those loops to go forward again, and that continues to drain your battery. And even though you're doing an ACTH test that's normal, you're not taking into account how often that stress response is being released, and that in and of itself can be very, very fatiguing. The immune system, so we talked about what is it that's actually causing this adrenal axis to go on overdrive, and that has to do most of the time with the immune system. And we have viral loads, parasitic infections, mold exposures, bacteria overgrowths. We have a lot of different things that can impact the body, and those are the things that are going to cause the stress response in your body for your adrenals to have to mount a response. And even though they're producing enough cortisol to not be told that there's anything such as adrenal fatigue, your body is still under overwhelm. And then last but not least, the thing I like to talk about is a cellular fatigue. It's not just a adrenal fatigue, it's a cellular fatigue. So in Biochemistry 101, your body has to produce ATP. You have to have enough oxygen to do that. You have to have enough minerals to do that. And ultimately, you want to be able to have a surplus of ATP so that you can do other things like detoxify, make new cells, be able to repair and regenerate. All those things need to be done. And if you don't have enough cellular production of ATP, your body starts to go into a deficit. And that means you start picking and choosing what you're able to do. You may be able to keep up your vitals, your pulse, your temperature, your blood pressure, but you're not able to break down certain toxins in the body, or you're not able to render a virus latent, or you're not able to get good quality sleep, or you're not able to produce growth hormone or testosterone or estrogen and progesterone. So those are things that can be happening in your body as a result of the stress response that's ongoing. But if you just look at the adrenals alone and say that there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue, you're going to miss a lot of the problem. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen. If you like this video, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please give me a like, and also let me know a comment so that we can help you in your ability to get your energy back. Have an awesome day.